Yeah,
Do I?
welcome to our second pilot mirror play circle. Thank you for your adventurous spirit in showing up. I'm sure with your handheld mirrors. And good, here comes Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hi,
Hey,
sorry I'm a little bit late. I was looking for your passcode. I got it.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you're here. I just welcomed everybody to this and appreciated your adventurous spirit. And um, I'm gonna after Lois greets you, she's going to fall into the role of, I'll call it lead participant. She's going to go first as a participant. So take it, Lois.
Well, so I'm welcoming you officially, and I want to tell you how grateful we are. We're very excited to find out more about how this works, what doesn't work, how it lands on people. We couldn't think of a better group to be doing this with. And we invite your honest observations, and we welcome your adventuresome spirit.
Okay. So we're going to start before we get to the mirror with a 1 minute check-in, whatever wants to come through you to get here. And we're going to all do it through my eyes. So staying with my eyes on the screen, Lois, starting with a breath. And this means 15 seconds more or less. Starting with a breath, Lois, starting now.
I'm noticing the power of soft available eyes. Amazing power. And I'm actually hoping for myself that with more of the mirror work, that my eyes will become more and more relaxed. Because while I feel the spirit is there of soft available eyes, because I really literally feel my eyes soften, I'm interested in another level of soft available eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois.
thank you, Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
I'm going to call names. Mike, checking in through my eyes in the mirror, starting with on the screen, starting with a breath, starting now.
Nice to be with you all. It's such a cool juxtaposition being with veterans, speaking circles and techniques like this. I'm just starting off instructing, well, I should say instructing, facilitating speaking circles to a brand new group at an adult school. So seeing this bookend, and I'm feeling very empowered, but then also I want to be very delicate with their situation, and the amount that I learn here that I think I can transfer in other places is just really rewarding. So when I show up there, it doesn't feel like work, so to speak, and when I show up here, it feels like just part of being part of a group and growing together. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Checking in with Linda, starting with a breath through my eyes, starting now.
Mhm. I'm thinking about what a beautiful journey this has been and how excited I am for the mirror work portion of Speaking Circles to bear fruit. It's just been growing and expanding. It really helped me when discussions were first happening about it, like last year, just playing with it and experiencing looking at a mirror as my true essence instead of my inner critic. It meant that instead of the typical scrutinizing for what is wrong and what I need to fix, it became who's looking through those eyes? And a mirror to my soul and to all of my past that's represented in this face. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Lynn.
Linda.
Thank you,
Thank you, Linda.
Checking in with Eric through my eyes on the screen, starting with a breath, starting now.
I'm feeling softening and yeah, just getting more present and relaxed. I've done some mirror work with Lee in person, and I've done my own mirror work. But this is the first time I've done mirror work in a Zoom session. So I'm looking forward to what emerges for myself and for this group. Yeah, I'm feeling some emotions around it because I see the value of it and know that I can use a lot more of this for myself and with others. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Eric.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Eric.
Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Checking in with Liz through my eyes on the screen, starting with a breath. Starting now.
It's interesting, the idea of doing mirror work in a group. I have feelings about that. I'm noticing. I have done one one-on-one session, I think, with you, Lee. And I recently, on vacation with my mom, we were talking a little bit about my growing up experience in the heart of LA, where appearance was very important to my parents and in my family, and some, really challenging things that I've had to work through and I'm still working through as an adult. So I think there's a lot of richness and possibility for healing with this work. Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank
Yes,
you,
Liz.
Liz.
Thank you all for showing up as yourselves. So if you pick up your mirror, what I'd like you all to do, I'm going to have 30 seconds where we just stay with yourself. You can take a look and see if you can find your friend, a soft, steady gaze of kind regard for yourself, and see what happens for you as you soften into yourself. Starting now. So thank yourself. Really say thank yourself. And come back to the screen. And now each of you is going to have a minute with yourself in the mirror, talking to yourself about what this experience is like, what's happening for you, and we'll all be witnessing and listening to you. So, Lois, in your mirror, starting with the breath, a minute conversing with yourself, starting now.
I noticed the distance with the mirror. At first I put the mirror closer to my face, and then I waited to move it to the point where it felt like it wanted to be. So here it is, and I do so see the essence of the person that I'm with, with just lot of kindness and equanimity, with peacefulness. And curiosity, but not not intellectual curiosity, just more, maybe it's more like being drawn to, captivated. You know, it just makes me think so much about the infant gaze.
in the shop.
Infants can gaze and gaze and gaze into grown-ups' eyes from immediately after they're born. It's totally amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
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 Mm. Mike in the mirror, conversing, starting with the breath, starting now.
It's interesting. Initially, I have this feeling of seeing somebody I haven't seen in a while, and let's call it a few years. And I'm being specific about, in particular, and this may be subconscious, about what's changed about them, mostly from an aging standpoint, that they look, maybe the creases in the corner of their eyes are a little deeper now. The creases on their forehead are a little deeper. And I see what has changed since I last remembered them. Because I don't, me looking at you, don't typically do this as intently. But as that progresses, I'm taking on more of a friendly feel now, a more relational feel. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Mm. Linda in the mirror with yourself, starting with the breath, starting now.
Hey, you. Ah, this is the work right here. This is where, ooh, this is where I meet me and see the reflection back, not just through what other people's response to me is, or comparing what I think I look like to everyone else I see and thinking higher or lower judgment thoughts. This is the work of unconditional love. This is the work of awe and wonder about, a bunch of emotion, about getting to be alive in a body. What a thrill. Even though sometimes it's not the way I prefer, sometimes I don't look the way I prefer, it's all good. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Mm. Eric in the mirror with yourself, starting with breath, starting now.
When I was looking in the mirror a few minutes ago, the first thing I noticed was, oh, there's some nose hairs I need to clip. And but that, it's revealing to me, because that's just a judgment I have of myself, that somehow I'm flawed, or I have something that shouldn't be there. And that's a tendency of mine, whether it's a physical thing or mental thing, emotional, whatever it might be. I seem to judge myself for something that is kind of just trivial. And at the end of the day, is just human. So I can look at myself with all my flaws and appreciate that I'm just a human being. And yes, maybe I do have imperfections, but who cares? Why do I care? There's so much about me that I love, that I find amazing. So why not focus on those things and let those other things go? They're just not important.
Finish up, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Eric.
Eric.
A minute with Liz in the mirror, starting with Brett, starting now.
Well, it happened the same way this time. I'm noticing creases in my neck. And then when I come back to my eyes, I'm just like, hi, sweetheart. I felt really touched by the love and the care and warmth that I can give myself. And I'm noticing now that that goes away as I start speaking and wonder if I'm being judged, but I can come back and say, yeah, it's good, you know? I'm finishing up now, Lee.
Finish up.
Okay, it's good. We have unshakable goodness. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Liz.
Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Now we're going to have a 5-minute mirror play exercise. I could call it mirror play. This exercise kind of wants to be play. I didn't want to be playful. It kind of is playful, we've discovered. So let that be part of your sense of what the adventure is. It's a 5-minute turn. And each of you are going to start in the mirror, continuing or your conversation or whatever you're doing. You don't have to speak. At some point, when you want to, call a name. And when you call a name, we'll come into the camera for you, like a regular Zoom circle. Come back to your mirror when you want or when it feels right. Sometimes you could call your own name and look at yourself on the screen. You've got so many people to play with. Like a 10-person circle. So, Lois, were there any questions about this exercise? And we're not going to be doing appreciations. You don't have to start imagining that. So Lois, 5 minutes, starting in the mirror with a breath, starting now.
Liz, I'm just taking a little time to be with you and breathing. And Eric, I'm taking time with you. Lois, I'm coming back to you to see how does it feel if I do this, if I come back to you and then go back to different people. I'm going to continue. I'm going to go to Linda. Linda, there you are. I'm being with you. And Mike, I'm being with you. And Lee, I'm being with you. Now I'm being with Lois on the screen. You know, Lois on the screen seems different from Lois in the mirror. It's sort of like, that's interesting. Lois, you in the mirror are more three-dimensional. You feel more alive to me. That's really interesting. And this whole feeling about essence, I feel your essence. And I feel my capacity for relational presence with you. Is that different from how I feel with other people? I'm going to check back with Liz. Is my capacity for relational presence different? Because I'm looking at the same sort of image on the Zoom screen, but I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. This is it. Eric. And I'm noticing people's eyes are very alive, and it's the eyes. I'm very, very drawn to people's eyes. Now, of course, I have the instruction in my head, one pair of eyes at a time. I've been oriented to being with one pair of eyes at a time. Now, for years, I'm going back to Lois over here in the mirror. Yeah, this is so amazing. I feel like this one in the mirror is sort of, do I want to say my higher self? I definitely think essence. Timeless. Timeless. In the mirror is someone who has lots of wrinkles and they don't matter. And that's been a very wonderful gift. Because sometimes I've noticed how wrinkly I am, but here I feel more like the quality I see in a beach rock who's gotten smoothed by the sea. And I've gotten wrinkled by life and by having been here. And maybe also, Linda, I also feel something I feel about old people. You know, how would I describe this? The wrinkles don't matter. It's the person. And I'm thinking of the eyes as the window to the soul. And Mike, I'm thinking of the power of the eyes. But the power is both what comes in as well as what goes out. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
Mm.
Thank you, Lois.
Ah. 5 minutes with Mike, starting in the mirror with yourself. Starting now.
I can tell that you are still fixated on detail here. I'm curious if switching back and forth with your friends here, if that will change anything. Eric, I think it feels like something I want to fight, to want to change something in myself, to not do something. Like here in this mirror exercise, I want to tell myself to not fixate on my flaws, Linda. But I'm finding in my psyche and in my makeup, me telling myself to not to do something makes it very, almost like a fight inside of myself. When I tell, some instinct is telling me to fixate on details, but inside of myself, I'm telling myself not to do that. Mike, back in the mirror here, it's, maybe you're lightening up a little bit on yourself. You notice the acne scars that you have on your face, and that reminds you of being an adolescent and being home alone because you didn't want to go out because your acne was so bad and you were worried about what people would think about you in those social settings. So you felt more comfortable being an introvert, Lee. I think that is it. I think the fixating on what has hurt us, what flawed us, what let us down, and we see it so much more clearly in our faces because we feel like we wear that like a story. At least I have that feeling that a lot of my past is worn on my face, Liz, and then through my eyes, people maybe can read into my regret or my shortcomings, these things that are worn in our being. Mike, I'm gonna take a breath with you here in the mirror. Kind of feels okay to talk about this, right? It's not easy. It's for sure. It feels deep. Like revealing something about why the way I am the way I am. And Lois, is that allowed? You know, is that allowed for us to be that transparent in our day, in our world? Or do we have to be hardened? Do we have to be professionals every day? Do we have to be parents every day? Do we have to be friends and colleagues to be strong for others? Do we dare, Linda, do we dare show anything other than that reveal, that armor on top? Back to the mirror, Mike. Yeah, I want to be strong. I really want to go about my day being the strongest person I can be, but I know inside me there's turmoil with that, because I want to be able to work through some things where I may not feel that way. Eric, just gonna take a breath with you. Back to the mirror. I think like anything, I think there is, I don't know if I want to call this desensitizing or growing more familiar. Let's just say that. Let's say I'm growing more familiar with me, with you. And as I mentioned in my opening turn, I'm starting to soften the focus on the detail. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Mike.
Ah, 5 minutes with Linda, starting with a breath in your mirror, starting now.
Oh, it feels like this is a chance for all the things I've been learning to show up. Things about loving what is, things about judgment and shame and what their intention is versus what the damage is that can be done. Lee, this is a really special space that I can hold in my mirror, Mike, that I can actually take it over as unconditional love. Liz, this is kind of a profound thought for me. Normally, the mirror is supposed to compare and make sure nothing is going to embarrass me later or something. But it doesn't have to be that anymore. Eric. Ooh. I can make my mirror the place of allowing. I'm going to look in my mirror now. Linda, in the mirror, you are allowed to be exactly as you are in my mirror, in my space of unconditional love. You're allowed to be exactly as you are. Whew. Lois, this really is a shift. For instance, if I am feeling insecure, I can tell myself that I'm allowed to be. Lee, I'm allowed to be not enough in my mirror and be completely, wholly loved. Whoa. Mike. uh, what else? That almost makes me just want to like, and this, and this, and this, and show my mirror. And you still love me now? Liz, I'm allowed to be wrinkly and show my age in my mirror. I'm allowed to, I'm allowed to feel sad, glad, or mad in my mirror. Eric, I feel like I've just played King of the Hill and conquered the mountain and stuck my flag right there at the mirror. Oh my gosh. The more that I am the space of love and total acceptance for whatever I am as the lover of it all, Lois, the more at ease I feel in my own body. Oh, I feel this, just saying it, just this lighter feeling coming over me. Linda. Huh. Oh, you are safe here. Which means, Lee, when I go back out into the world after this call, after this experience with my mirror, and the more times that I spend in this unconditional loving space for me, the less judgmental I probably will be for everyone else. Lee, thank you. Thank you for this. Mike, wow. It feels lighter. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Linda.
5 minutes with Eric starting in the mirror, starting with the breath, starting now.
I'm noticing a difference when I look in this kind of mirror than other mirrors in my house, like my bathroom mirror and my bedroom mirror. There is an intimacy here. There's a witnessing here. There's really seeing myself here. Linda, in other mirrors, it's just a reflection, like I'm shaving. So I'm seeing a reflection of myself. But Mike, it's not really seeing myself. And I think at the heart of it, it's not even appreciating myself. It's just that reflection. But when I'm in a mirror, this mirror, it's really going to a deep level. It's like almost like not even a human thing. It's like a spiritual thing. Like I'm witnessing this spiritual being. And the practice for me, Liz, is to appreciate much more than I typically do that spiritual being. Lois, I think that's the growth for me, is seeing something more than this human being. By doing that, looking at myself, really, really seeing something beyond human. There can be a deeper level of kind of appreciation, this feeling of connection to something bigger. So I think that intimacy and that witnessing here is so, so important for me. So I think, Lee, that's the work for me, is do more of that. Not just looking into a mirror, but appreciating that anytime, like all the time, appreciating that I am connected to everything. And I felt that. I felt it in speaking circles. I felt it in conversations I've had, Mike. I've felt it in, certain groups that I've been in, and I've got my cat here. She helps me feel that way, Liz. So that to me is the practice. And it is a practice. Like with anything, you just have to keep doing it. Keep carrying the water, Linda, as they say in Buddhist tradition. So I can appreciate that, this practice of looking and being with me, being with, in a way, something more than me. And I don't really feel that if I don't think about it, if I'm not consciously just being. That's where it is for me. Just be. And Lois, that's part of what I've learned in speaking circles is just be. You don't have to think. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything for anyone, Lee. Just be. Be with, obviously, be with another, be with myself. And the practice is appreciate. Appreciate. Appreciate myself. Yeah, that is the practice. That's the growth for me. Just appreciate everything about myself and know that there's nothing I need to do or say or be or do for anyone. Just be loving, be true, be honest, be loving. That's the key for me. That's the practice. So I can do that. I can really enjoy that. I'll be in that space now.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Mike.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Eric.
much, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Mm.
Ah. 5 minutes with Liz, starting in your mirror with a breath starting now.
Hmm. Hmm. I see myself, and I also notice, Lee, that this is my grandmother's mirror. She lived to be 102. I'm gonna look in the mirror again. I see her spirit, her feisty, feisty spirit. Sometimes I really need to call on that, Mike, when sometimes I feel the other things she and my mom passed down to me, the not enoughness, never enough, never good enough, with the appearance, with the doing, never, never, never enough. Linda, yeah. I can feel that a little heavy, sometimes a little too heavy. And so it's really important, I think, for me, this adventurousness and the playfulness to bring that in when I feel the heaviness. Liz, I'll go back to you. And just to be a little more playful with all of it, because, I'm funny. I got a haircut I didn't like. I start snipping away myself. I do funny things with my appearance. Yeah, and just to remember that there's a lot I've inherited from my grandma and my mom. And there's a lot I passed down to my own girls. We are, Lois, 4 generation of sweet women. So we have this matrilineal line by various choices and decisions of my mother and me and my husband to give my girls my last name instead of his. And there's this lineage here, this history. We all come from this deep history. And yeah, Lee, I think this is making me realize sometimes I get caught up in the parts of the history that have been damaging or painful. But there's a lot of good. And my girls, actually, my oldest daughter today was getting ready for school in this new t-shirt from her friend. I said, well, you could wear a long sleeve shirt underneath if you want to show the shirt. Oh, I'm just wearing it for me, just so I feel good. Eric, she said, it's just for me. It's not for anyone else. And I said, that's awesome. So passing on some good things. Yeah. I'm gonna take a moment again with me. What's in there? Yeah. This whole session actually, and it's funny, the tendrils on my hair are reminding me, Mike, of tentacles. And I just read the book Remarkably Bright Creatures, which about the octopus who narrates the book, who's, they're remarkably bright creatures. But Linda, my favorite line, and it made me think of this as you all were sharing such brilliance and wisdom, is the octopus says, generally humans are dull and befuddling, but occasionally you can be remarkably bright creatures. And Lee, I think there is this remarkable brightness and lightness that you let us tap into and play with. That's here when we go beyond that initial first look, first thing, to go a little deeper. Yeah, so thank you. Thanks for this playtime.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to have a completion round, 1 minute, in the mirror, all of it in the mirror, perhaps reporting what you're leaving with, perhaps an intention. And I'm going to take a minute because I got to say something. I'm going to take a minute. I got my, I can time myself. A minute with Lee, starting with a breath. After our first of these pilot mirror plays with Lois and me yesterday, we got off and I felt so soft into myself right after, so soft. I'm looking forward to how that's going to feel this time too. But what got me was when Lois said, sometimes we can repeat, I see my higher self. And I said, I can see myself in the mirror and see that because that's it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm seeing my higher self. He's so playful. He's so beautifully playful. That's all he wants to do. My intention is to see my higher self in the mirror, at least a mirror a day, a minute mirror a day. Oop, finish up, Lee. Thank you, Lee. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
Completing with Lois in the mirror, starting with a breath.
Oh, this is just so sweet. This is such a sweet experience. There's the me encountering. I like that word, encountering me. Because encountering captures, it can be new. This is not an old experience, this experience. In fact, I'm not sure, but there's a newness to it, a freshness all the time right now. But also being with everyone else, encountering themselves in the mirror, and being with ourselves in the way that we are, with our openness and curiosity and willingness to wonder. And this whole essence idea is just amazing.
Finish
And
up.
relational presence idea, because this is what the relational presence, I've learned so much in speaking circles, but here I am doing this with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois.
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 Completing with Mike in the mirror, starting with a breath, starting now.
makes the mirror work especially interesting to me is that the judgment comes out, and the judgment is an instinct, and it feels rooted in maybe a more ancient part of my brain, because I'm trying to figure out if I need to avoid something, if I need to fix something. It's that flashing view that you see of yourself in the mirror, and you're looking because you want to see if something's wrong. It's part of the psyche to figure out what's wrong first. But then as I settle in here and be with myself, I think the newer part of my brain takes over, the compassion side of it, the empathy and the openness, actually, and even the allowance, the allowance to be what it is I'm seeing. So I'll leave it with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mike.
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Hmm. Completing with Linda in the mirror, starting with the breath starting now.
Mm. Hmm. It feels like the mirror's becoming a touch point, like maybe with a ballerina doing a spin and another spin, another spin. They spot an anchored thing to look at so that they don't get all dizzy and confused and fall down. This space of love can be my spot, my touch point. Ooh, thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Hmm. Completing with Eric in the mirror, starting with the breath starting
What I'm getting now is that this is an opportunity to see all the good and to say all the good. See all the good in me and say all the good in me. I read somewhere we think like 45,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are repetitive, so we've thought them over and over in our life, and a lot of them are negative, and that's certainly the case with me. So this gives me an opportunity to change that pattern, see the good and say the good. Do this several times a day. Changing, rewiring my brain is about thinking and speaking good things. So I'm making a commitment to myself right now. Do this several times a day to rewire those patterns.
Finish up.
Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. Yay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Eric.
Completing with Liz in the mirror, starting with the breath starting now.
What's come to me too is that all this good work we've done on relational presence to get these kind eyes, that it's a safe place for me to also come back to as I start judging appearance, other things, or feeling like Tara Brach says, the trance of unworthiness in other ways in my life, the not good enoughness, that instead of just telling myself with thoughts, it's okay, you're okay, I can actually come here and see it and give myself that kind regard and that kindness. I heard someone say once, whenever I ask my inner child what she wants, it's the same thing every time, an ice cream cone. I love that because it's just like you want something kind and loving and generous, and
Finish up.
we can do that just with the eyes. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you,
Thank
Liz.
you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Oh my, I started doing this kind of mirror work 2 years ago, and it was incredible, and I dropped it. And so did most of the people who I did it with. I'm not going to drop it this time. And it's so easy to forget this. So I really suggest that you put it on your daily calendar. Just at least a minute a day will keep you in the game. A minute in the morning and a minute before bed. That's better. As many times as you can. That's even better. And I want to have. I'd like to have a group, an email thread that we can check in on, and we'll talk about that by email, what that would mean, and a community to check in on, and I can't tell you how much I need this, not just me in the mirror, but I love the group. It's a whole new dimension. We didn't do that 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Final words from Lois.
Very grateful. And I'm fascinated. I think the experience of doing it again with a group has been really wonderful. Highlights sort of different things for me. So I'm just looking forward to more. And I found myself thinking of a couple of titles. One was Getting Over the Mirror. I was thinking, what will mirror work or mirror play mean to people? But I thought getting over the mirror, or I thought getting over the camera, because I think this has relevance for the camera too. Those could be different workshops. Anyway, there's just so much here. Thank you all for coming and helping us.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you,
Lois.
Lois.
In 6 minutes, I have a Zoom circle. Michael will be in that one in 6 minutes. So in 5 minutes, at 1 minute 2, I've got to disconnect no matter what's going on. And Mike, we'll both disconnect and then come back on. So we have a few minutes if there's any brief expression anybody wants to say.
Well, I'll just say this has been a very wonderful experience. First time for me here. And I just kind of processing, looking at myself, speaking, I got a lot of insights, but I also appreciate the group wisdom. The openness, is we learn a lot from each other when we're in the safe, supportive space like this. And like, this is very powerful work. It's important work. So I'm very grateful, and I know how much I need this. So thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll share. There was something that's really meditative about this, like that's very just so mindful. My husband did a day-long Zen retreat where he looked at a blank wall for like a day. And he said it's really like holding a mirror up because you see yourself, you're forced to see yourself. But something about having the mirror and reflecting and the way we did it was just this really beautiful practice where I get to have my own mindful experience, but I get to hear your mindful experiences, which enrich me too. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
I'd like to say something. Oh, I'm starting to realize that I can bring all of me to this mirror, that all the things that my ego or my psyche is judging as not okay, even all my negative thoughts get to be showered in unconditional love here. And no expectation to change anything or fix anything when unconditional love is here. It just gets to be seen here in this moment, in my love, in my presence of the one looking out these eyes, who knows what it looks like from when I was a baby, a teenager, all the years. It's all here. True Me has been through all of it, watching. And I love you, Linda. I love you, each one of you here that's opened up to yourself. It's incredible. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you,
Thank you, Linda.
Linda.
Thank you, Linda. I'll just finish with something brief here. Something I'm noticing about the fear I have with this is confirming a flaw that I believe others see in me. Because there's a belief, I think, that the mirror doesn't lie. So if I see myself in a mirror and somehow I find that flaw and I confirm it, then I have to deal with that. And that's where I am in my world, dealing with my flaws, if you will. So dealing with is different than, I guess, being able to overcome and live and surpass and embrace our flaws. So that's where I'm at with it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you, Mike.
And I'm thinking it's easy to adapt this into a regular Zoom circle. So for instance, 6-minute turn, all you need is the understanding that this is a possibility and do a 6-minute turn. You could do that
Yeah.
today, Mike. And it's the same, it's a different kind of turn. We've left ourselves out of the Zoom.
Mhm.
Oh my, I love you all. Thank you so much. We'll talk, we'll
Oh, I
talk,
love
we'll
you.
talk.
Thank
Group
you.
hug.
Group hug.
Thank you.
Bye.
Enjoy your circle,
Bye.
Lee. Bye.
Thank
Final
you.
group breath together.